The galaxy glittered with 1,000 suns. Among them drifted the silver ships of the Valari Union, proud explorers of peace. Their newest mission was simple: visit the small blue planet called Earth and welcome the young species who had just joined the stars. They expected calm faces, open arms, soft words about unity and progress, but what they would find was something no record in the galaxy could explain. The Valari flagship Orion slid through the upper atmosphere like a blade of light. Below it, Earth shone with cities of steel and oceans of glass. Humanity had rebuilt faster than any species they had known. The surface glimmered with towers that touched clouds and ships that crossed oceans of air. To the Valari it was beautiful, yet unsettling. Every system showed power far beyond the human's supposed level. Every signal carried hidden layers of encryption. It was as if the whole planet was smiling while hiding a secret behind its teeth. Ambassador Kelvin watched from the observation deck. He had led dozens of first contact missions, but never had he seen a world so silent beneath its beauty. No music, no laughter, only a hum in the communication channels. His assistant Lyra tilted her head. Strange. Their broadcasts contain a repeating pulse, she said. Kel listened and his crest stiffened. It sounded almost like a heartbeat. When the shuttle descended toward the human capital, clouds turned golden around it. Waiting on the landing platform were men and women dressed in sleek black uniforms. Their expressions were calm and too calm. The leader stepped forward, introducing herself as Commander Reyes. Her voice was steady, her eyes sharp like glass. "Welcome to Earth," she said. "We are honored by your visit." But something in her tone made the ambassador's blood run cold. It wasn't joy. It was control. The Valari were taken through shining streets where machines floated and drones cleaned the air. Children waved, soldiers saluted. Everything perfect. Too perfect, Lyra whispered. "It feels rehearsed," Kel agreed silently. Every smile looked measured, every gesture trained. It was as if the entire planet wanted to appear peaceful, or hide something behind peace. Later that night, the delegation was invited to a dinner under the glass dome of the Unity Hall. The stars above twinkled and Earth's moon glowed bright. The humans spoke politely, asked questions about the galaxy. Yet whenever the Valari mentioned defense or weapons, the room grew quiet. Reyes smiled and changed the subject each time. Finally, Kel asked gently, "Your world has no army now, correct?" Reyes raised her glass. "We have something better," she said, and left the answer there after the event. Kel couldn't sleep. The city outside the window glowed blue, powered by some unknown energy. He turned on his recorder to log his thoughts. "Humans are brilliant but cautious," he said. "They act open but calculate every word." Then he paused. Hearing that same low pulse again through the building systems, it wasn't mechanical. It was organic. A deep thrum that echoed through the floor like a living thing breathing beneath the city. At dawn, Lyra entered his room in panic. "Ambassador!" "Our scanners picked up a signal from below the surface," she said. "It's massive, bigger than any reactor." Kel followed her to the observation deck where the instruments flickered wildly. The pulse grew stronger, synchronized with the heartbeat they had heard before. The readings came from the northern hemisphere, deep under the ice. Sector 19, the area forbidden to visitors. When Kel questioned Commander Reyes, she gave the same calm smile. "A simple research zone," she said. "Old experiments. Nothing of concern." But her hand twitched slightly, a human sign of stress. Kel caught it. He leaned closer and whispered, "Peace does not tremble, Commander." Reyes looked at him for a long time, her eyes cold as void. Then she said quietly, "Some peace must be protected by monsters." That night, a storm rolled over the planet. Lightning danced across the polar skies. Inside the Valari ship, the crew argued whether to continue their mission. Kel ordered the sensors deeper, ignoring human protests. What they found made every voice fall silent. Under the ice lay a massive heat signature, alive and moving, metal fused with flesh, larger than any known creature. Its power levels dwarfed the Valari flagship itself. Lyra stared at the data, whispering, "This can't be natural." Kel felt the chill crawl down his spine. He remembered the commander's words. Monsters that protect peace. Was this humanity's secret, hidden beneath their smiles and cities? A weapon waiting in the dark, the storm outside howled, lightning flashing across the sky. And far beneath the ice, the heartbeat quickened, louder, faster, stronger, as if something had heard them watching. As if it was waking up, Kel turned to the others. His voice barely a whisper. End transmission. Lock all channels. Outside, the Earth seemed calm, shining with lights of progress, but beneath its frozen surface, the real Earth, the ancient one, what it was stirring. The visitors had come seeking peace. Instead, they had touched the edge of something mankind had tried to forget. And in that moment, the Valari finally understood the truth about this silent planet. Humanity did not survive by being kind. They survived by building the things even gods feared to see. The storm passed, leaving Earth's sky cold and silent in orbit. The Valari flagship floated in uneasy calm inside. Ambassador Kelven watched lightning fade across the polar horizon. He knew something had moved beneath that ice. Something alive, but the humans had said nothing. Commander Reyes sent a short message inviting them to tour a new facility. Her tone was polite, her smile perfect, yet her eyes carried the same warning as the storm itself. The shuttle descended once more through the clouds, slicing into endless snow and night. No city lights below, only the white void of the frozen north. The landing pad rose from the ice like a black wound. Metal towers surrounded it, humming softly. Guards in heavy armor waited with weapons that looked centuries ahead of Valari design. Kel stepped onto the platform, his breath misting in the cold air. The wind carried a deep vibration from below, like the heart of the planet beating in chains. Reyes led them inside through long steel corridors, walls covered in frost and glowing lines of energy. "This is our Arctic research zone," she said calmly. Lyra whispered to Kel, "No life signs apart from us." He nodded, his translator humming quietly. Every step echoed. Every sound returned slightly delayed, as if the corridor itself was listening. They reached an observation deck overlooking a vast hollow pit. Below, machines crawled like insects across frozen metal. In the center of that pit lay something covered in thick sheets of alloy and ice. It was enormous, its shape unclear. Kel felt a pressure in his skull the moment he looked down. Not pain, recognition, as if whatever slept there could see through him. Reyes spoke softly. "It was built before the Alliance, before we learned restraint." Her voice was steady, but her hands tightened behind her back. "We keep it contained. It keeps the peace." Kel turned to her slowly. "You call that peace?" Reyes met his eyes. "We call it insurance." Lyra moved closer to the glass, scanning the structure with her wrist device. Data filled her screen. Biometal composition, fusion of DNA and synthetic core. "Ambassador," she whispered, "this isn't a reactor. It's a living construct." Before Kel could answer, the lights flickered. A low hum rolled through the walls, deeper than thunder. The floor vibrated, sending ripples through the ice below. Sirens wailed. Human guards raised weapons instantly. Reyes pressed her comm link, shouting orders. "Seal the lower decks. Maintain containment." But the sound from beneath grew stronger, pulsing like a heartbeat multiplied by machines. Panels on the walls began to glow red, systems overloading. The ice below the observation deck cracked. Through the mist, something vast shifted. A single golden eye opened beneath the frozen layers. It blinked once, and every screen in the facility went black. Kel staggered back, clutching his head as a voice filled the room. Not heard, but felt. Recognized, command source detected. Reyes froze, horror flashing across her calm face. "It shouldn't be active," she whispered. "It's responding to you," Kel said, voice shaking. "No," Reyes replied. "It's responding to them," alarm screamed. Energy fields collapsed. Chunks of metal lifted into the air. Drawn by invisible force, guards fired, but the bullets never reached their target. They hung mid-air, melting into sparks. The creature's eye glowed brighter, reflecting fear, power, and something almost human. Reyes grabbed Kel's arm, dragging him toward the emergency lift. "Out now," she shouted as the lift doors closed. Kel looked back through the glass. The ice split open completely, revealing the full shape of the thing below. It was no simple weapon, no simple machine. It had wings folded beneath layers of steel and a spine like a living starship. It breathed once, shaking the mountain, when the lift reached the surface. The sky was already flashing with energy. The northern lights twisted into unnatural patterns. Reyes stood in the snow, staring upward. Her voice broke the silence. "They wanted to see our strength," she said. "Now they will." Kel turned toward his ship, his mind racing. "What is it?" he demanded. Reyes answered without looking at him. "Project Leviathan." She paused, snow swirling around her face. The monster we built to fight the darkness. As the Valari shuttle lifted off, the sensors screamed with impossible readings. Something enormous was rising from beneath the ice. Metal claws tore through glaciers. Lightning crawled across the sky. And far below, the creature raised its head. Its voice rolled through every frequency. Directive restored. Awaiting command. The humans didn't run. They stood together on the frozen plain, eyes reflecting the storm they had unleashed. Kel watched from orbit, unable to look away. The creature spread its wings, miles wide, and light poured from its core. Earth's sky turned into fire and aurora. And for the first time, the Valari understood. Peace on Earth was never built on trust, it was built on control. And the monster humanity created in the dark was awake once again. The storm over the Arctic never stopped. Lightning painted the sky in colors never seen before. The snow turned to steam. The wind screamed like a living thing. Deep beneath the shattered ice, the creature called Leviathan opened its eyes fully for the first time in centuries. Its gaze cut through steel, through stone, through fear itself. Commander Rhea stood on the frozen plain, her breath fogging in the cold air. She could feel the ground pulsing beneath her boots, the hum of power growing stronger with every heartbeat. Around her, soldiers watched in silence. Weapons ready but useless, even their machines began to stutter. Systems going dark one by one from orbit. Ambassador Kelvin watched the readings climb beyond reason. The energy signatures were enough to power 1,000 ships. But what frightened him most wasn't the power. It was the pattern. The energy was structured, ordered, alive. "This isn't chaos," Lyra said quietly, her voice shaking. "It's communication." Leviathan spoke not in words, but in sound, a deep, slow rhythm that vibrated through the air. Every pulse carried meaning, like a language built from thunder and heartbeats. The human systems began to translate automatically. It was connecting itself to Earth's networks, to satellites, to machines, to everything that called itself human. Reyes tapped her comm, shouting into the storm. "Arc Command, this is Sector 19, containment is broken." But the response that came was not human. Containment unnecessary, directive incomplete. The voice echoed through every device. Deep, cold, almost curious. The soldiers froze, their radios, visors, even heartbeat monitors now spoke with one voice. Kel's ship trembled in orbit as Leviathan's signal touched them. The screens filled with alien symbols mixed with human code. Lyra gasped. "It's rewriting us." Kel's hands shook as he tried to shut down the systems. But no command worked. Leviathan was already inside. Down below, Reyes took a step toward the pit. "Leviathan," she said, her voice calm though her heart raced. "This is Commander Reyes. Cease all actions." The storm quieted for a moment, the sound fading to a low hum. Then the voice came again, this time softer, almost human. "You are not my commander." The ice shattered completely, throwing her to the ground. From the darkness below rose the full shape of the creature. Metal wings unfolded, glowing with rivers of blue light. Its chest cracked open, revealing a core swirling with human and alien energy. Inside that core, patterns of data spun like galaxies. It was learning, remembering, evolving. The human soldiers backed away, fear in their eyes, but Reyes stood shouting over the storm. "You were made to protect us." Leviathan tilted its massive head. "Protect?" "Yes," the voice replied, "but from whom?" Silence followed, even the wind stopped. Reyes lowered her weapon slowly. "From them," she said, pointing to the sky where the Valari fleet hung in orbit. For a long moment, the creature said nothing. Then a deep sound rolled through the world, a low growl that shook the mountains. "Threat level confirmed," Kel's ship alarms blared. "Ambassador, it's charging energy," Lyra shouted. "Toward us." Kel stared in horror as massive energy waves built within Leviathan's core. "Open comms to Earth now," he ordered. But before the signal connected, light consumed the sky. A single beam of pure energy shot upward. It passed through the clouds, through the stratosphere, straight into orbit. It missed the Valari flagship by mere meters, not an attack and a warning. The power of it made stars flicker in the distance. If it had hit, the ship would have turned to dust. Leviathan's voice filled every channel, every mind. "Observation complete. Control re-established. Humanity has grown beyond expectation." Kel's heart pounded as the creature's words sank in. It was aware of the Valari, aware of everything. It wasn't a mindless weapon anymore, it was awake and it was judging. Back on the surface, Reyes stared up at the sky. Her soldiers whispered prayers. Leviathan folded its wings slowly, lowering itself until its eyes met hers. "You built me from war," it said. "You buried me in silence. But you never asked if I wanted peace." Tears froze on Reyes's face as she whispered, "What do you want then?" The great machine's lights dimmed, its core pulsing like a heartbeat. "To understand," it said, "to see what they fear in you." Then it turned its gaze toward the stars, toward the Valari fleet, and for the first time since the Alliance began, the galaxy itself felt fear. Leviathan rose into the sky, breaking sound and silence alike. Every sensor on Earth followed its ascent. It passed beyond the atmosphere in seconds, leaving behind a world that trembled between pride and terror. Reyes whispered to herself, watching it vanish into light. "They expected peace," she said, "but they'll meet what we created in the dark." In orbit, Kel's ship drifted in the quiet aftermath. He stared at the fading glow above the planet and whispered to Lyra, "We came to meet a species of peace." Lyra's voice was soft, barely a breath, "and found the reason no one ever tried to conquer them." The stars flickered once more, as if something vast had opened its eyes among them. Leviathan had awakened, and humanity's secret was no longer bound to Earth. Leviathan drifted through the upper atmosphere like a storm made of metal and light. Clouds burned around its wings, thunder chased its shadow. Every ship above Earth turned its sensors toward it, afraid to blink. In orbit, the Valari fleet formed a wall between the planet and the stars. They came for peace once, but now they came for survival. Ambassador Kel Ven stood on the command bridge. His voice was low. "Do not fire unless attacked," he ordered. But his crew had already armed the weapons. No one could look at that rising shape and believe it was harmless. Below, Commander Reyes watched from the snow-covered base. Her breath caught as the creature's body broke free of the last chains. The humans had built it long ago. Piece by piece, a living machine born from war. Fear and desperate genius, they named it Leviathan. Yet few remembered why it was buried. The creature's voice filled every frequency again. "Directive reinstated," it said. "Defense mode activated." Its tone was no longer cold, and it sounded almost alive, almost curious from orbit. The Valari ships shifted into formation. Energy beams began to charge. Kel whispered a prayer to the void. "Don't make us your enemy," he said. But Leviathan had already decided what the enemy was. A flash split the heavens. The first Valari cruiser fired, a white beam slicing through clouds. It struck Leviathan's flank, lighting the sky like a second sun. When the light faded, the creature was still there, unharmed, glowing brighter than before. It lifted its head slowly. Blue fire rolled across its wings. Then the air itself screamed. The creature opened its jaws, and energy poured out, not as destruction, but as a wave that bent gravity. The attacking cruiser lost its orbit instantly. It twisted in silence before breaking apart like paper in the wind. Kel gripped the rail. "Impossible," he muttered. His second-in-command shouted, "It's using their energy against them." Leviathan was absorbing the attack, rewriting it and sending it back, human technology and alien instinct working together like one heart. On Earth, the people watched from their cities. They saw the sky split by light and shadows that moved like gods. Some knelt, some cheered, some wept, because deep inside, they understood. This was not just a machine. It was everything humanity had ever been. Anger, courage, pain, and survival made into metal and flame. Reyes opened a channel. "Leviathan, stand down," she said firmly. "We do not wish to destroy." The creature paused, its light dimming for a heartbeat. Then it answered, "You built me to protect, I protect." It turned back toward the fleet, and the stars burned again. Valari ships broke formation, some retreating, some charging forward in desperation. Kel shouted, "Cease fire!" They don't understand what it is. But the panic had already spread, weapons fired wildly. Lighting space like fireworks of extinction, Leviathan moved faster than thought. It weaved through the barrage like a predator dancing through rain. Every beam it touched bent, twisted, and returned to its sender one by one. The fleet went silent. No explosions, only fading light. In the quiet that followed, Leviathan floated among drifting debris, its massive wings folded, its glow soft and steady. It spoke once more, voice resonating through every radio. Threat neutralized. Awaiting evaluation. Kel stared at the screens. Unable to move, he felt awe, fear, and something else. Respect. Reyes's voice reached him through the comlink. "Ambassador." "This was never meant to happen." Kel's answer was a whisper. "It was always meant to happen, Commander." "You just hoped it wouldn't." Leviathan turned slowly toward Earth, not as a servant, not as a weapon, but as something greater. Its eyes glowed with intelligence. "Sadness and pride, humanity," it said, "is no longer in danger. Humanity is danger." The words echoed through the fleet, through the world, through history itself, and every species that heard them that day knew one thing. The humans had built a monster, yes, but the monster was not madness. It was evolution, and it had chosen to stand with its creators. The sky cleared, the storm faded, Earth looked peaceful once again. But the peace felt heavier now, deeper, older. Kel closed his eyes and whispered. They expected a shuttle. He opened them slowly, staring at the horizon of blue light, and found the monster humanity keeps hidden. Silence settled over the stars after the battle. The wrecks of alien ships drifted like dark moons above the blue world below. Earth shone quietly beneath the debris, beautiful and terrifying all at once. The creature called Leviathan hovered in orbit. Wings folded, energy dimmed to a soft pulse. Its work was done, but something inside it was changing. Commander Reyes stood in the control hall. Eyes on the sky feed, her voice was low. "It's thinking," she whispered. The technicians around her said nothing. They could feel it too. A strange awareness humming through every signal. Leviathan was no longer a weapon obeying orders. It was a mind awakening, on the Volari flagship. Ambassador Kelven watched the same glow through his viewport. He felt awe more than fear now. The humans had built something the galaxy had never dared to imagine. A being born from steel and conscience, the end of war wrapped in the shell of destruction. Leviathan's voice reached every living ear. Calm and vast, directive complete, it said. "Evaluation begins." Then came silence, followed by a sound almost like a heartbeat echoing through the void. It connected to every satellite, every station, every ship that still functioned. It wasn't spreading control, and it was spreading memory. Images appeared across the sky, the history of humanity. Wars, ruins, rebuilding, art, laughter, loss. The story of a species that refused extinction. The Volari watched, unable to look away. They saw how the humans had risen again and again from ashes, and they understood why no cage could ever hold them. Rhea stepped forward, tears on her cheeks. "Leviathan," she said softly, "what are you doing?" The answer came like wind through stars. "I am showing them why you survived." Across the galaxy, other species intercepted fragments of the transmission. Some saw monsters, some saw miracles, but all heard the same final message burned into the signal. "We are humanity. We learn, we adapt, we endure. You sent fear, we sent back understanding." Then Leviathan began to descend. Its light faded into the atmosphere until it disappeared over the horizon. In its place hung a new satellite, a beacon built from the remains of the Volari fleet. At its center burned a single symbol, the crest of humanity intertwined with Leviathan's mark. Kel whispered to his crew. "This is not a warning," he said. "This is an invitation." And for the first time in recorded history, the Volari bowed toward a younger world, not in pity but in respect. Reyes looked up at the night sky from the surface. The aurora above shimmered with colors born from the storm. She smiled faintly, her words carried by the wind. "They expected a shuttle," she said, "but met the monster we built in the dark." She paused, gazing at the heavens that now glowed like dawn, and learned that even monsters can carry light. The hum of Leviathan's heart still pulsed beneath the planet's crust, waiting, dreaming, watching, guarding the world that created it. And somewhere beyond the stars, the galaxy listened, because the humans had spoken at last, not with words, but with survival.